Hi, folks, and welcome to another edition of Shop Talk Park Slope. And today we are speaking with Andrew Ingavet of Park Slope Music Lessons, the inventor of the Musicolor Method. Yay! Hi, Andrew. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks, Nikki. This is awesome.
Andrew and I have actually known each other for quite some time. We met each other through the Soloist Collective some years back. I don't remember how many. And if I do, I'll probably be upset because it's actually been a little bit of a while now. But I'm really excited to have him on because, again, he is the owner of Park Slope Music Lessons. So speaking of which, actually, can you tell us more about Park Slope Music Lessons and what you folks have to offer?
So Park Slope Music Lessons is a school, and it's kind of like a school that takes place in your house. So we're like a tutoring service. We have these wonderful, vetted, trained, patient, kind teachers come to your home and work with your young ones on music, but we're viewing it as life skills through music. Because there's so many amazing things that music offers young children. And I truly believe that every child should have the opportunity to learn to make music, because it just benefits all these things that are transferable to everything, like things like pattern recognition, goal setting, just learning how to chunk information into sections, and then memorize things, and then public performance, things like that. There's all kinds of amazing things. So yeah, we focus only on kids. And we are unique in that we start kids younger than most other schools with a very effective way of teaching them, which is something that I invented called the Musicolor Method.
Yes. And speaking of which, that's actually the next question, because again, what is the Musicolor Method? Like, you've actually written, I think, you've written a book on it, actually, like maybe more than one, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
So can you tell us more about that?
Sure. So the Musicolor Method started because when I was teaching, I started teaching my son first in the living room because he kept bugging me to teach him. And I was like, even though I studied to be a music teacher at NYU, I was doing everything else. I was like doing marketing, all kinds of other things, film scoring. My son kept saying, when are you going to teach me? When are you going to teach me? And he's like 3 years old at this point. And I'm like, all right. I'll just find you a teacher in Park Slope. How hard could that be? We're in a child-centered neighborhood. And I was shocked to find that, first of all, no one wanted to take him. They were like saying, come back when he's 7 or 8. I was like, what? And then the few people who said, yeah, I'll take him, they'd be like, well, yeah, I'll take him, but you got to fit him in between my nanny job and my restaurant job. So they weren't really focused on education. And it was like a huge gap. I was like, okay, he's 3, 4 years old. He's got to wait till he's 7 or 8. There's no way, because he's so musical. He started, he's singing every day. So what I started doing is I started teaching him. It was a little bit frustrating because I was like, okay, you see this weird symbol here on the staff? You see, That's called a C. It's like, why? It's like it's just
right, because there's going to be a million questions. It's not just, what is that? Why is that? Why is it here? What is this? Yeah. Why didn't we do it this way?
Yeah. And I was like, okay, and then where's that on the keyboard? Oh God. Okay. It was so complicated. And then it wasn't as bad with him because he's in the house with me. I can support him every time he's practicing. But then when his friends started coming for lessons, I had all these kids coming, and there was no way for me to send home instructions of what they were supposed to practice. And I was like, oh my God, they would, drop off, or the nanny would be sitting there who had no clue what I was talking about. So I was like, okay, wait a minute. We need a new way of, a new mnemonic, basically. How am I going to remember that this was what we did? And I actually spent 10 years in information design and graphic user interface. I was working on websites for American Express, Chase Manhattan Bank, these big insurance companies, MetLife. And it was all about making everything understandable, intuitive, and really had to take into account, like, who is your audience? What do they already know?
Mm-hmm.
What are they going to get? So then I was like, one day I had this epiphany, and I was like, this is an information design challenge. I have that background. I can solve this. So I started experimenting with all different things, and I realized that direct labels of color is the easiest way to do this, because every preschooler already knows,
their
the
colors.
rainbow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I started experimenting with I'll put a red sticker on the note C.
Right.
I'll use a red colored washable marker on their thumb, and then I'd say, I'd just draw these red boxes on the page, and I say, okay, how many are there? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I said, what does that mean? And they're like, I don't know. I was like, well, you play the red note with your red finger 6 times. And they're like, oh my God, I understand. This is so easy. And I say, okay, you see how that last box was a little bit longer? That means you hold the note a little bit longer. It was like, oh my God, we could do this. So then, there's an orange key, there's a yellow key. So I had 5 colors, and then I did it for the other hand. Over the last 15 years, this started with just like 12 songs. And then it's now like hundreds in 6 different phases, because it's not a crutch. So that's been the biggest
right.
criticism, that people who think they know what I'm talking about, don't think they know what I am doing, don't really know that this is not a crutch, because we take them in 6 progressive stages. So it's scaffolding to get them to reading on the staff. And in the last phase, there's music notation with colored note heads. And then we're always teaching them all the rudiments. So finally they get to reading regular music, which is very different than playing music. Reading music and playing music, it's like speaking and reading, you know? So
very different.
Teaching it like a language is what was the big insight, and inventing a new visual language was what I did. But it's all about scaffolding, because, written music is genius. It's incredibly concise, and it's lasted thousands of years. So actually about 1,000 years. Can you believe that? Written music has been around for 1,000 years.
You know what, though? The more that I learn about human history, the more I'm kind of like, you know what? Yeah, because we've actually been doing some things for a long time, both for better and worse.
Yeah.
That's one of the better things.
So now I have 5 songbooks in the series for phase 1 through 5. Phase 6, I'm still preparing. I'm trying to get rights to legal clearance for some more popular songs.
You touched on this earlier, where you spoke about the importance of, musical education. So can you expound a little bit more in terms of why you think musical education is important, especially because, our system tends to see it as superfluous and just something extra and not really something that's integral to the educational process?
Yeah. I see there's a huge problem in the world right now of there's people that are coming into the workplace who have no sense of how can they contribute to be more innovative, how to be more creative. It's almost, there's a lot of apathy, and there's also a lot of people just relying on the robots. It's like, oh, AI will figure it out or whatever. Mm-hmm. But if you don't know how to ask the right questions, learning how to ask questions is thinking, right? So creativity, how can you call that superfluous? Becoming more innovative, contributing to the world. Another thing that I think that is totally, we're losing more and more people that are taking full responsibility for their lives, right? All your actions in your life, every choice you make and your results are your own responsibility. So, our first lesson, in the first 3 minutes, we're teaching the kids how to play the song. They take responsibility for their own practice from then on. And what's interesting is that we start them so young and then we can keep them so long because we've given them the tool of how to practice. The art of practice is what we're losing in so many things. Deep focus.
Yeah.
I mean, nowadays everyone's getting all the beeps and blobs and burps are like interrupting deep focus. Practice is teaching them how to have deep focus with consistency and then to keep going, the grit. So my mission in life now, my son woke me up to this 15 years ago when he started asking for lessons, is to use music education to create more contributing, creative, responsible citizens of the world. And Musicolor Method, my mission is to activate 1 million kids. And I'm actually just starting the process of creating a franchise for Musicolor Method. I've already been doing licensing, which is kind of like a franchise already, but to get legally registered in all the states and then around the world is a huge task. And I have a consultancy helping me with that. So hopefully you'll start seeing Musicolor Method everywhere.
That's really amazing. And I'm just 100% in agreement with you regarding like the importance of arts education and especially music, because my parents started me with piano lessons when I remember I was 6 years old. So, because again, they couldn't find anybody who would take me at 3 or 4 or 5, right? So 6 years old, my very first lesson, because I had no idea what was going on. I was just being dropped off at the music teacher's house. I cried for my dad and wanted to go home and refused to play. So, which is very unusual for me because I'm generally very extroverted, but I was just like, what's happening? Blah, blah, blah. I was still and everything else. And they're like, oh no, okay, this went very, very badly. So they found me a new music teacher that I like really connected with. And it was great. Like, just because like she was just so kind and fun. And I already enjoyed music, and she made it interesting and helping me to understand that I could make music, that I could learn to play music. My parents hardly, I don't remember them ever telling me, you need to go practice your music lessons. No, I would just go and do it because I would hear the song that was being played and be like, I want to know how to play that. So I would sit at the piano, and sometimes I would be there for like an hour or 2 hours practicing on my own because I really wanted to know to play this song. And also, I think the whole thing about the fact that you have the Musicolor Method and trying to use the intuitive and stuff, because music isn't just about reading the notes and stuff. I distinctly remember one of my piano teachers eventually. So I had come back and was playing a song that we had been working on like the week before. And she looks at me, she's like, Nikki, I'm pretty sure you actually have a tendency to play by ear. She was like, because she's like, you use it as a tool in making sure that you're actually playing the song correctly, because you always insist on me playing the song first. And it's one of those things that, it was kind of the thing, like basically having some sort of process that was probably training my brain, right, to recognize patterns, understand what I should be asking, and all. It's just basically that was kind of like the genesis of these sorts of things. And I can definitely see like how, because I took piano lessons for 8 years, and I was in my middle school band. I was in the high school band and stuff. So I kept on with unfortunately, when I went off to college, because I couldn't take my instruments with me, and I kind of fell aside. But that's been one of my things, is that I definitely want to at some point resume playing my instruments. I love the saxophone, love the piano. So this is all the stuff that you're saying is like music to my ears.
That's great.
I think I am 100% in agreement with you about the importance of music. So you, even though you work with children and families, in different parts of the city, you're based in Park Slope. So I'm kind of wondering, what have you enjoyed most about having your business here?
Oh, that's interesting. Actually, we really do focus on Park Slope. It makes the most sense for us because we're sending teachers to the home to be in a very tight geographic location, so that they're not like spending a lot of time traveling between locations. So that is Park Slope music lessons it truly is Park Slope Music Lessons. We have maybe like 10, 12 kids who are maybe a little bit outside, in Windsor Terrace or in Sunset or in Carroll Gardens. But it's usually because the teacher is on the way to Park Slope,
Right.
lives out there or something. So I love supporting my community here in Park Slope. In fact, we always do the recitals right here in Park Slope. We've been doing it at the St. Francis Xavier for probably like 5 or 6 years now. Before that, I used the Park Slope Library as well as the Carroll Gardens Library, as well as the Prospect Heights Library. I was everywhere. And then the libraries, because we outgrew it. We had too many people. So it was like we couldn't fit them anymore.
So they didn't kick you out. Yeah. It's just they were like, we don't have enough space for you. Sorry.
Yeah. And it is where I love living. During the pandemic, I was going a little crazy because we can live anywhere in the world right now. Where else should we go? And they were like, oh, here. It was like, and then it's like, well, there was always some kind of negative side of moving somewhere else. And then I realized, why do I want to move? Because I hate my kitchen. So I was like, now's the time to fix the kitchen. And we got an amazing remodel done by Mario Golan, who you should definitely tell people about. Mario Golan has done a lot of work in the neighborhood. Wow. Did it exactly on time. 30 days, start to finish. Beautiful job. So now I love my house.
From you after this interview.
Yes, he's very in demand.
So to kind of wrap things up, since we've been talking about music and we're talking about Park Slope, music in Park Slope, what are some of your favorite spots in the neighborhood to actually go and catch some live music?
Oh my God.
As a musician yourself.
That's so funny because I've been so serious working all the time that sometimes I don't give myself permission to go enjoy music, but I'm making more of an effort now. And so some of the places that, of course, I have to mention, the New York Philharmonic comes every year to Prospect Park. I'm going tomorrow, Friday.
Nice.
And of course, there's the Celebrate Brooklyn Festival in Prospect. That is massive. There's also Barbez on 9th Street and 6th Avenue. I haven't been there in a while, but it's always reliable and amazing artists, world-class artists are right there. You would not think that they were there, There's a place called, Union Hall. It's kind of, you think of it more of it like a beer place, but downstairs is a theater, and they do have a lot of bands.
I didn't even know they had it downstairs. What?
Oh yeah, they have a theater, and they have I saw Tom Papa at Union Hall a few years ago. They have comics, they have bands, they have all kinds of things. There's a place on the outskirts of Park Slope, more like South Slope, Freddy's, and that place has been people rave about that. I actually have not been there, but I've walked past it many, many times. And there's a famous old bar called Sonny's over in Red Hook that is known for their bluegrass. So those are some area places. I wish there were more in Park Slope. There used to be a giant place that became the New York Kids Club, but it was a really big rock club there for a while. I actually just started playing music again for my own enjoyment with other people. I mean, I've been playing by myself, but I just joined a band. It's for the first time in 30 years. And we have a gig at Stitch Bar in Manhattan, July 14th. It's a blues club. So it's a blues band. It's not my band. I've been invited in. So we play stuff like Otis Redding, Sly and the Family Stone, some good old stuff,
All right. By the time that this video airs and stuff,
Yeah.
unfortunately, Andrew's show might have already passed. But now you guys kind of know that he's in a band and to be on the lookout for him for his future shows with his new band. So, yay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, Andrew, it was so wonderful chatting with you and also learning more about you and your background. Again, that's the thing. It's like you can know people for a long time and there's still all these layers and additional pieces of like there's still so much more that you can learn about them. That's one of the fun things about these interviews and stuff, because I've been connecting with business owners that I don't really know at all, and also connecting with people who I have known for a long time. So it's just been really great to talk to you and learn more about how you ended up developing your business and stuff. So thank you so much for taking time out to chat with us today.
Thank you, Nikki. And hopefully we could do this again. I have all these other stories to tell you about. My old rock and roll days when I had hair down to my waist and I was an MTV VJ and all kinds of stuff like that.
All right. Thanks again. And thank you all out there for tuning in for this edition of Shop Talk Park Slope. Again, I'm Nikki Thomas, licensed associate real estate broker. And this has been Andrew Ingavet of Park Slope Music Lessons. So go check him out. Actually, what's your website right quick before we wrap
So
things?
I made it a little bit easier. It's now parkslopemusic.com.
All right. Parkslopemusic.com if you'd like to check him out for music lessons for your kiddo. All right. Take care here, everyone. Bye.